Today we've got a great quarantine show for y'all. But first, we want to remind you to like us on all the social media outlets and share us with all your friends. Keep on listening to all the episodes, and thank you for your support. And now, without further ado, we'd like to welcome back
for the second date.
The second time.
It's our second date.
That's correct, for the second time.
This is a date that we put out.
66.
I know. Snapper 6 is speak to the show, guys. Awesome.
Now, we've had some, so yeah, we had, the deal is this. We did this episode already, but we lost the footage, and so it was a tragedy.
Come back.
I know. So Snapper 66 is such a cool band that decided to come back and give us another shot, and they're here and they're awesome, and we'll thank you guys. I really appreciate it about it. So if you want to get a hold of the band, sniper66band@gmail.com, or you can follow them on sniper66.com, all the social medias and all the stuff like that. And here we got Dylan, April, and Mike, guys. How you all doing today, guys?
Good, man.
Awesome. Well, it's good to have you guys over here. And so I guess let's start over there, kind of like how we did last time a little bit. I mean, it's the three of y'all, and there used to be four of y'all. Yep. So that's awesome, guys. So what's going on? I know you guys had practice yesterday. So how's everything sounding with the three-piece?
I feel like I'm starting to know y'all better now. This is getting comfy.
Well, this is what this is all about.
Yes, like we should do this every week. Just like check in with Sniper 66.
Hey, we'll pop on for a minute segment every time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, we had band practice last night. We've been, it's been quarantine, so we've been writing some new songs. We finally got back to practicing about, a month or so ago. And so we've been trying to write some stuff. And that was, I think, our main focus last night. But we even there was a song that we wrote, that we recorded, that we were going to put on the Annihilator album, but it just didn't really fit. So we kind of worked on it last night. Like, we're going to redo it because we've got kind of a new lineup now, so we might as well do it with, with who we have. So
that's awesome. So in the band lineup behind, I mean, we had Jeff and Jeremy over there, and now they're gone, and now we have Mike. There's a new bass player of Sniper 66. So it's great to have you here, Mike, as well.
It's good to be here.
Awesome. So actually, let me ask you, I guess from there, since it's a three-piece and you said that, you're working out the new song. So like, how's the writing process being on a three-piece, more like how different it is for being on a four-piece?
Honestly, it's different. Like, Jeremy used to bring a lot of like riffs to the band, and then I would take it home and put words to it. And of course, I would write a lot of stuff too, but it was a lot of kind of back and forth. Right now, it's mostly just me kind of bringing what I've got. And then, of course, April's always been so integral in the writing process. She's always got something to kind of add on to or to tack on to. And then even, like, there's, on one of our new songs, like, Mike's gotten into it pretty quick, where he's just, he brought a thing to the band, like, hey, what if we did in this bridge breakdown part? What if we did this instead of what we were doing? And, and I can be stubborn and set in my ways sometimes, but I'll say at least I'm always good at going, yeah, fuck it, let's at least try it and see how it sounds. It turns out cooler than mine. So
that's awesome. Yeah, because I mean, it's definitely a big change from going for like, two guitars to one guitar. I mean, I'm sure there's a big difference between all the bands. And I mean, I know you guys told us before that, even April is taking some of the vocal parts out of it. So how's that going, April? Like, how's the difference between like, playing the drums and having to do a background vocals for now being like, main vocals in one of the songs?
Well, it's always been in this switchover, it's been like, what is most important out of what's now gone? So I've taken some of the backup vocals that Jeremy used to have and like just scrapping pieces here and there just to make the important stuff still happen in the background.
Well, yeah, because you're down to three. So
it's a big difference in the depth of voices.
Yeah. Before I used to, like, I would, when there was like backups or gang vocals and stuff, I would kind of back off and let them kind of carry it so I could catch my breath. So with me playing leads, I don't quite jump around as much because I have to focus a little more than I used to. So it kind of saves some of my breath. So I'm able to kind of sing over stuff that I wouldn't have done before. It would all have been stuff that we recorded, but that I would recorded, but live I wouldn't have done because we had 3 other people singing it. So, you know, we've got Mike and April both doing it, and with me kind of trying to carry over that. We're still kind of, at least in those spots where I wouldn't be singing previously, we still have technically 3 people singing. So it's not, you know, it's not the 4-piece that we might have used to, but, you know, we're managing. So.
No, that's pretty good, and I hope you guys get it because I mean, I said it in this podcast before.
From what I understand, nothing was lost though in that too, because I guess April has a pretty good punk rock vocal going on there. Apparently, that girl can scream out. So, and we know you can, right? And when she takes over, apparently nothing is lost, from what I understand.
No,
definitely 2 different kind of styles.
You can take it however you want. It's okay. We don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to comment. It's fine.
April's definitely got a really good like street punk, like creepy type of vocals. So.
No, that's awesome, and like
I heard she can sing. I heard she can sing.
I said in this podcast before, like I'm a sucker for background vocals, and I think from the beginning, from like when Snapper 66 started in 2009. You guys have been like so spot on background vocals and gang vocals, and like even from like, you know, the first album, your self-titled album. I mean, it just seems like it's a signature that you guys have, and it's really, really cool. Like in every album that you have, just like, you know, like April said before, that you put like, you know, little Easter eggs in there. Like it seems like background vocals is always on your songs, and as a sucker for background vocals, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's really important. It's you know, it's a third like it's an extra instrument, right? Like you have a lead vocalist, and then you can get some gang vocals, and then you get some woes and some harmonies and some melodies, and you've got a chance to really add some kind of dimension to the music, where it's like, you know, punk rock is also you know, often kind of considered to be simple, but you can start to really layer some stuff in by adding, you know, backup vocals, and that's something that April's really thrived on, and it's nice because, like, you know, Michael even admit that like backup vocals isn't one of his like strong suits. I don't think it's something he's as comfortable with, but he's made a lot of progress since he's been coming on with us. But even he'll kind of like go for more of a monotone thing, and then I'll carry like the melody, and then April's doing like some cool harmonies behind me. So it's yeah, I mean, it would be a waste to not utilize that extra instrument that we have.
And you guys do it excellent. I mean, it's one of the things, like I said, I'm a sucker for like background, like, you know, gang vocals and all that, and you guys do it absolutely as excellent. So
it's one of my favorite things to do.
They're professionals. They're total professionals. They sound great. They're tight as shit. The live show is fantastic, by the way.
Sure is. So
sure miss those things.
I know. So band started in 2009, and your first self-title was on 2012, which was a few years afterwards. And you tell this great story about it, about like, you know, like firing everybody like right after a few shows. So after the first show, there you go. So yeah, so I mean,
we know too much. So, we know the answers to all these.
This is a rerun.
I know, exactly.
Yeah. It kind of is, but for the folks who are just watching this the first time.
Yeah, no, exactly. So yeah, no, I mean, how
I want to talk about when they went swimming in Zurich. Funny.
We'll get to you're jumping ahead.
Yeah, no, eventually we get to that. Yeah, I just want to talk about the first self-titled album, because I mean, in that album, I mean, it was such a good like opener to let everybody know who you guys are, and I mean, you have such a good ass songs like, you know, Sputter and Rade, Rise Up, and Firecracker. I mean, those are like one of my 3 like to go tos on that album. Like, how was the experience of recording that album?
Frantic to say the least. So we'll to kind of give a little bit of the backstory. So we started in the summer of 2009. Jeff and I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and so when I moved to Austin, he was already here playing with an old friend of mine. Jeff played bass in the later years of the Residuals, but anyways, so we all kind of knew each other a bit from back in the day. But when I moved here, Jeff was playing with them, but they weren't really doing a whole lot because, you know, it happened, right? And so Jeff asked if I wanted to start a band, so we started jamming together, and we grabbed a couple of guys that we knew, another buddy from Dallas had moved here, played drums for us. Got another guitarist. We played our first gig, and then afterwards, there was kind of a fundamental disagreement on how band practices were supposed to work, and so we basically kicked them out. Fast forward a year and a half, like almost, I say year and a half. Fast forward a year and a few weeks, anyways. We had our second show after like not playing and trying out a bunch of different band members. Didn't work out. Went through some more. Finally got moving again. Like this band just almost never, like we were almost dead on arrival, but thankfully we were able to kind of push through and keep going. But so we finally got Jeremy, our guitarist, for from 2010 onwards, till just recently actually. He joined probably about 2010, 2011 early if. Then we got our buddy Tom came along. We went to go record the album. Of course, we're still a new band at this point. We've got, when we booked it, we had 10 songs. We ended up coming up with the 11th song in the 11th hour, and that ended up being "I Know It's True," which was kind of our big one for a long time.
Yeah, those.
So, but we got into the studio. We went to go record it. We had 2 days, and we ended up doing all 11 tracks, all like everything mixed, mastered, and ready to go after 2 days. And I have a hard time listening to that album because I feel like sonically it's raw. It's really rough. I feel like we've come a long way, so it's tough to listen to sometimes. But it definitely, like you said, it's like it is us exposed, right? Like it's a very.
So Dylan, are you working out? You're looking kind of cutty up.
Shit, dude!
Like
all I do is
gun
sit on
show
my fucking
over there.
camera. I pull my sleeve back down.
Cutty.
My stuff.
Yeah. No. We should all do it so everybody call their sleeves. Let's do it. Everybody
I
do
literally
it.
just
I know.
around all day.
Ernesto looks like he's been working out too before
They
you
show the
guys
big
showed up.
ones.
Just say it's good. That's a positive. That's a good thing. Looking
I literally all I
good,
did.
buddy.
The reason I was late here today is because I fucking was playing FIFA and I lost track of time, and I had to eat because I've been playing FIFA all day. So
That's pretty funny. No, that's awesome. No, but
Yeah.
one of the things about that self-titled album that, like you said, it's raw, but I think that raw sound gave you guys like a trampoline jump on it. Like it was kind of like, man, this band is like coming out with this, really awesome, like, background vocals, leads and all that. But like you say, it's raw, it's real. And I think a lot of people like enjoyed it. And
That's the album that I fell in love with.
exactly. And
I wasn't in the band yet. I was like, what the fuck is this?
exactly. And it's something like even to this day, it's great to listen to.
So April fucked me up with that. We actually just told, like, her and I were talking about this a day or two ago. But like, so on the album release of that, it was Jeff's birthday party. We did it in the back big area of Red 7, and we released the album, and it was like us and Breeze Away, and who else was it? April? It was another band that you played.
Night.
Violent Night. You played with them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's
And
played in every band.
I've been in all those bands at this point.
Yeah. So, but we released the album. She came over, introduced herself. We became friends. And so, but like I sold her the record, and we we bullshitted. It was cool. And then, fast forward a couple of months, and we're playing some fucking like Tuesday night gig at the inside of 7. And I was kind of like, I hate Tuesday night gigs. Like, there's nobody here. And then we ended up getting roped in.
I hate them too. I hate Tuesdays too, and Wednesdays suck as well.
Mondays and Tuesdays are my least favorite. But yeah, so I'm we got roped into headlining. So I was just like, I got to work the next day. And I was still an electrician back then too. So I was having to get up at 4:30 in the morning. So
Oh, wow.
this sucks. Like I was being a total shit about it. And then we started playing. And then April's right up front singing every fucking word. And to this point, I'd never been in a band that anybody ever bothered to learn the words to. So
Put him in
I got a little
Oh wow! Yeah, no,
I got a little nervous because I was like,
Huge.
okay, fuck, this chick knows the words better than I do. Like I could usually, if I fuck up the
All right.
word, I go whatever. But I was like, yeah. So,
she's a chick, dude. Like,
so
yeah, that's like, yeah.
So
It's a hard comeback, you know.
so she, like, I put her ass on the spot. I was like, get up here and sing a song. If you fucking know so much, and then she, take a sit on.
I messed up one of the words in that. I remember I said, I just want to.
I'm sure. And I'm sure
It was
everybody noticed.
Nah, that's pretty awesome. Man. That's actually a really funny story because I mean, you can actually tell that, you know, for us talking like, you know, in the past and all this a couple of episodes, that you guys have a really good relationship. Then, like, you know, it shows in the albums and in the shows that you guys have put out. I mean, you guys play and you seem like to have the count and the chemistry on stage as good as you have it on the albums. And, you know, that shows up in your latest album and Annihilator, that you can definitely tell the chemistry that you guys have on it. So that's actually a really great story that, like, you know, from like the past, you can actually see each other kind of meant to be kind of thing. That's awesome.
You gotta have good communication to be a unit as a band, you know.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So from the Self side in 2012, you guys went to 2014, like, you know, like 2 years. It seems like you guys take your time on writing the songs, which is at this age and time into 2020, it's not heard of. Everybody's like, you know, putting singles left and right, out, in and out. So I mean, you guys are taking your time writing all these songs. Like, you know, how was after the second album?
Wait till we get wait till we get to talk about the latest release. That is an awesome talk about taking your time. I'm excited to talk about that. No, I mean, for real, like, it's a super. I'd like to jump ahead if we can, but
I know you're still doing it. But yeah, let's talk about the second album, 2014. I mean, like, you took your time on it, like, then, but this time April was in the band. So, like, how was that all about?
So we had done our first, like, we released our first album. We had done our first tour, and then when we got back from that tour, there was our drummer was a scumbag. We actually ended up writing on the second album. There's a song called "Parasite" that we actually wrote about said drummer. It was just pressure.
What did he do? What did he do?
You know,
What did he do?
Skis on girls that were fucking on the road. You know what I mean? Like, we got back from tour, and I was hearing a bunch of you know, a bunch of women were like messaging us, going like, "Hey, like, I didn't want to fucking cause no drama or nothing, but like, your drummer was being inappropriate." And there's no room for that. And so
that sucks.
So we just told them, like, "Look, man, you're out. That's the end of it." So,
Did he smell? That's the worst. The guy with the socks in the band, that's always the worst. I hate that shit.
It definitely.
I can't get over it because it's getting on me now.
Yeah, like, he smelled, but I would go ahead and I'd venture to guess that being a skis to girls is worse than smelling bad. He showed up with $7.
No, okay, yeah. Oh, point. There's only so much you can overlook.
So we booted him out of the band, and chronologically, this shit gets hazy because it's been 10 years. But then around that time is whenever we asked April to join the band. We had already started writing a couple of songs, so we had like 3 or 4 kind of in the pocket. But as soon as she joined the band, I was like, she already knew all of this, like the songs from the first album. She showed up to band practice. She's got a book that has like our logo printed out on it because she's a professional printer.
That's
has our
awesome.
logo printed on it, a bunch of notes inside. She shows up to practice, knows every song. We're like,
Gotta be prepared.
Was it laminated?
No, there's no need for it. It was printed on professional cardstock, bro.
Yeah, it had like a cover, and then
That's awesome. She's ready to go on tour, dude. Man.
Out of the gate.
I will. I'm sorry. I'll shut up. Shut up.
That's awesome, man. That's such a prepared thing to do especially for a drummer. I mean, it's such a hard thing to do because you got to keep the backbone on it. So I mean, so from there, how did you guys went from Capital Eminem, how did everything came out to the second album?
So we only took a couple months to finish writing that album, and then we were in the studio.
Yeah. So my goal was, because she showed up prepared and we had already had some songs written, I was like, it's time, right? Like, let's get something out. I don't want it to go longer than 2 years. Let's put another album out. So I said, in 6 months, I want to have an album written, recorded, and released. And we did, and it was intense.
That's awesome. But I mean, even for the time, I mean, it's such a good album. I mean, it's definitely like you were saying. I mean, you started with the first album, Nice and Raw and Real. I mean, this was a really nice step up that you guys did, because you still kept the core sound of the band, and but you can tell that you guys are maturing on it, and you guys have like working on it, and the songs on it. I mean, my favorite track on that album is Another War, and it's like an amazing song, and you can definitely hear the connection that you guys have, the maturity of growing up to your sophomore album. And that was excellent.
I've enjoyed watching the steps that we've been able to make over the years. Like, you can pretty clearly hear them out release to release.
Yeah, I'd like to think that like you could listen to each album, and like if you really listen to everything that we've released, that you could take it and then go, okay, this one goes here and this one goes here. Like you could but they weren't chronologically based on like the growth from album now. Because I'm certain like Annihilator is our best album. Like there's just no getting around it.
Yeah, it's a good one, and we'll eventually get to that one. But I mean, it's one of the best ones. But you can definitely see like the maturity on it. I mean, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And so, did you guys did a lot of touring for your second album? Did you guys did a lot of like work on it, or how was that?
Yeah, so once April joined the band, it's like we hit the ground running. We did our first tour in the summer of 2013, and then shortly after that, we kicked our drummer out. And so it would have been.
It was May 2014. That was the war.
It's a May summary. And so, yeah, I mean, we
Did
were
you
like,
say Warped Tour?
It was called the Warpath Tour. Like we have names for these things.
no, April, I was,
Sorry, there was a freeze. There was a freeze up.
no, I said on the first tour. James, I think it's on your side, bro. You might
Is
just think of coming back in. Yeah, you've been delayed the whole time.
Yeah,
I think it's because I've got 17 different Wi-Fi devices going on in my home currently. I might want to go and turn some of this shit off. Sorry about that.
Nah,
Yeah. So, anyways, we started.
Am I still frozen? Do I have a dumb look on my face?
Yeah, you got a dumb look in your face. That's for sure.
Do I? Am I frozen? Am I frozen?
Yeah.
It's funny.
That's pretty funny.
Whatever. So we can get through this. I don't care.
All right, go for it. So yeah, so you guys starting on touring with April, and like how was that? I mean, second album, like all systems go. Like how was that going on?
April, did we have the first album out whenever you started touring with us?
What?
Excuse me, not the first, the second album. Did we release Kaput and then go on your first tour?
Yeah. On CD.
Well, right, but we had released the
Yeah, that's what it was for.
album. No,
Yeah, it was like that was the entire imagery for the tour. Was
look, you know how my memory works. So, but yeah, I mean, once she joined the band, it was like we did a tour in 2014, we did 2 in 2015, 2 in 2016, one-ish. It was weird in 2017, 2018, but then last year we actually got to go out and do a couple of tours again. So we had 2 on the books for this year. Unfortunately,
and you guys supposed to be in Spain right now, or I guess soon supposed to be in
we
Spain.
would have been for Spain by now. I think we would have been back from tour, but
August.
Oh wow.
I'm supposed to be feeling a sunburn.
It's the only thing. That's the only
Nah, that's crazy. And so from there, like you guys did, like I mean, from like your second album, I guess from Annihilator. I mean, you guys took your time not only writing it, but you guys did a couple of like awesome things, which is one of the things that blew my mind is like having a split with Potato Pirates. I mean, like that's one of the things, and I want like April to tell the story because we heard it before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I want you to tell the story about the trumpet and the trombones. I mean, that's just absolutely awesome that what you did for this album.
Well, it starts as Dylan kicking around playing a ska version of Spotted and Rotted, and a song from our first album. Mm-hmm. Just fucking around in practice, ska-ifying Spotted and Rotted. So things start out as jokes in our band, and they turn into realities. And we decided to actually record a ska version of that song.
It's kind of like whenever you start trying to like you get bro or tight, and then you do it too much, it ends up sticking. Starts off, then you take it seriously.
No, that's awesome.
So I mean, I'm a band geek. I've been playing trumpet forever, so we tried to get a whole like
just rub it in. Sorry.
horn section going for that, and I couldn't find enough people in time, so I bought a trombone off Craigslist and
Fuck it, I'll do it live.
fucking ripped it.
And that's awesome of you that you were able to like, you know, pick it up on the spot and do that. Cause I mean, like I was
It's
in band
fun,
too in
man.
high school. Yeah.
Cool.
No,
It's so
was-
cool.
I
And
was in
it's
band in high
hard.
school,
That's
too.
Horns are hard, man. I can
Yeah.
go into it, but
yeah, I know.
It's
I
hard.
mean, like I was in band
Hard.
like, in high school too. And like, that's something that like people don't give a lot of credit to. I think like being in band in high school, like it teaches you a lot of like musically of like what, you know, what the fuck to listen to. But,
Yeah,
I wanted to do band so bad.
it's another one of those things that help people feel like being weird is okay. So I was like in band and in punk, I was like, yeah, this is fine.
And nudge towards doing sports my whole high school career.
you're hired.
My mom had fucking, all of her kids were like band and orchestra geeks, right? So I really wanted to do band because I saw fucking Bill Clinton play saxophone on our hall one time. So I wanted to play saxophone so bad, but I was the last child my mom had that still played sport. I stuck to it, but no pass, no play kind of fucked me up. I really wanted. Kratz was not going into to bands, so.
wow. No, and that's actually something like I think the hardest part about the whole thing is like being able to wake up at like whatever 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God, it was so early.
The worst part. Like, 'cause, I mean, like April said. I mean, yeah, we're still punks and we're still trying to do the whole thing and we're still trying to like do it. So I mean, being able to like hang out and being able to wake up at like 7 in the morning was absolutely
brutal.
horrible. It was so bad on the whole thing. So
I went to high school in Alaska, man. It's cold
Just-
at 5:30 in the morning.
no shit, you're from Alaska? Oh wow.
During high school, yeah, it was
You're
crazy.
actually the third person that we have in this podcast is from Alaska.
Who else?
Michelle and the drummer.
Alaska?
Yeah, the drummer from the.
Do you remember Final Warning? The
Sarah.
punk fanzine?
Sarah? Yeah, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah and
awesome.
Michelle. They're both from Alaska, from way up north. I know Michelle's from Detroit. I'm sorry, Michelle's from Detroit, but yeah, Sarah's from Alaska.
Yeah, I know, Sarah.
Yeah, I know.
She's an Orange County kid, but it's funny because she'll talk about being from Orange County, but like I really feel like her home, she's from Alaska.
Like those were formative years, man.
I'm sure, and I mean, I'm sure that there's like, you know, a big drastic thing like waking up at 7 o'clock in Alaska, which is like, you know, 7 o'clock in Texas.
Well, it's beautiful outside is the thing.
I can only imagine. I mean, you only see those on like pictures and like postcards and stuff.
Yeah, some of the pictures I have, like I took, they look like.
That's awesome. So Potato Party, like, how was that combination? I know you guys are like friends with them. So how was that combination? Like, what did you guys talk to them and say, hey, let's do this and see what happens? Because I mean, you guys are totally opposite sounds of what they sound and what you guys sound like.
I don't think we're totally opposite sound.
The bridge. I think there's a bridge there.
Yeah, there you go. Well, yeah, I can see there's some lyrics on it, but I mean, like, their horn section is really good. And like, how did it all happen? Like, you guys were talking to each other and be like, hey, let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, we had played a lot of gigs with them. We had met, you know, being on tour, they were on tour. We'd kind of match up a couple of gigs, and there was plenty of times that we had come across each other. And so we were all good friends. And so I was just like, hey, we got this ska song we're doing something with, and we don't really know where to put it. And so, like, we feel like it would be really fun to do an album instead of doing like a split 7-inch. Instead of doing one side is one band and one side's the other band, we do one side is both bands doing a punk song and the other side is both bands doing a ska song. And and so we did, and that's kind of how it came out. The reverse side of that was Warrior's Way, which we ended up doing a music video for too, which was a crazy experience. Like we kind of threw a lot of money at that one. Like we had done like a big long tour and like kind of came back with a little bit of extra cash for once, and so we threw some cash at just doing like like video effects and like multiple locations and all kinds of goofy shit. And so just that whole split ended up being a really good time.
Lunch for the crew. That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and if everybody wants to look at the videos, I mean, you can just go to YouTube and get a Sniper 66 ATX.
Yeah, be on Sniper 66 or YouTube.com/Sniper 66 ATX.
Yeah, and you definitely guys have all your videos over there. So I encourage everyone to go check it out, because I mean, the videos you have guys done, I mean, they're pretty sweet. I mean, having you guys with all the all the lightning behind you, like shining through. I mean, that's pretty sweet. That's pretty cool, and it's an experience that I'm glad you guys were able to do it. So from there, like you guys were like you were telling the story, like, you got hit on the social medias from a Europe record label. Yeah. So like, yeah, go ahead and tell the story, because I mean, it's pretty cool. I'm not even going to talk about it. Go ahead.
I wish I remembered what the actual, what the post was, but we had posted something, and Contra Records had commented, and Contra is one of those labels, like they've been putting out bands like ours in Europe and like American bands too. In fact, my twin brother was playing in a band called Dog Company that had been releasing some stuff through Contra, and so I've known about them for years and years and years. And so when they hit us up, I was like kind of fanboyed out, like, oh, they messaged us, and they're like, they had said something about, when are y'all going to release something in Europe and come do a tour? And I was like, bro, the second you put something out, we're fucking ready. And like that sparked the conversation. They got us in contact with City Rat Booking, who does all of our booking over in Europe. And we started talking about doing a release for us to kind of come over and to push, and that was our introduction into touring in Europe. So let me tell you, after that, April and I have both said it, like if all we ever did was tour in Europe, it wouldn't break my heart.
So that's awesome, because I mean, I guess if you have to compare like US touring compared to like European touring, like
they're different. They're very, very different entities.
Yeah. They take music a lot more serious.
Yeah.
That's something that I hear a lot from other bands, that like, you could be playing like in a warehouse type of deal, and DIY kind of thing, and you see like a bunch of people like show up and like.
Yeah, they're really gracious hosts, and they understand that you put in a lot, and so they're going to give you back what they think you deserve, and it ends up being a lot. They're like always just super to have us in their town. They feed us, they put us up, they make sure we have everything that we could possibly need.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's nice. It's really nice.
That's awesome. And that was about
that's punk rock.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that was for the Bury With Your Boots On, which became, like you said, like a really popular song that you guys play from that album.
Yeah, it's one of Mike's favorites too.
That's awesome.
It's funny, the songs.
Look who's jumping ahead now.
The songs that Mike fucking attaches to, are not songs that I would expect from him. So, but yeah, that was so while we were kind of gearing up, getting ready to release, we were starting to kind of write for Annihilator, and we might have had 6, 7, 8 songs, something like that. And that's when we started talking to Contra, and they were like, we need you to put an album out before you get here. I'm like, there's no fucking way. We don't have an album yet. We're not prepared for that. And so we ended up deciding to just do a 7-inch release, just our own 7-inch and do that, a exclusive to Europe 7-inch release. And so that ended up being Buried With Your Boots On, which the kind of title track for was Bury Me in My Boots. That's a funny story too.
Oh, come on. You're confused.
No, I'm not confused. We confused the artist.
No, it is fine.
and he turned like he switched the words around, and he was like, if it's a problem, we'll swap it. And I was like, honestly, I kind of like it, so fuck it. And so we released it, and so it had those were songs that we were like, of the ones that we had, we were like, okay, let's just put these out. We really want Annihilator to be the best album it can be, so we did that. And then like Bury Me in My Boots was a song that I liked, but I didn't think was as strong as it was. And like just to kind of give an example of how much bigger it got than I expected, if you look on our Spotify, I know It's True's had like, it's got something like 30 or 40,000 plays. Bury Me in My Boots has something like 85,000.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's awesome.
that was a song I thought of the 4 songs
All right,
on
hold
that,
on. Let's do the math on that.
That's a lot. Is it?
it ended up being better than I
Let's do
expected.
the math on that.
Nah, that's a lot, dude, and that's awesome because I mean, especially being for like a split album. No, I mean, it's not a split album, like European release, and like not getting the support that you get over here normally in the U.S. But eventually, I mean, it came up because that song came out very popular. So that's pretty awesome that you guys got that much support out of it.
Good song.
Yeah,
It
especially.
rips.
Yeah, no, it's a really good song, especially not getting like
And
your normal way
April
out.
played
is pretty
drums
awesome.
on that, correct?
Yeah, I mean everything from the second album on is
Yeah. The only thing she didn't play on that we released, she wasn't on the self-titled album. Everything else she was a part of. So
Nah, that's pretty awesome. So you guys from the European awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
But this time you're playing. I mean, you're writing for the latest album that you guys have, which is like one of the best albums that you guys have, and the story behind it is so unique. And like, I want you to tell the story. Just kind of like you did last time. I want you to tell the story because it's such unique to Austin, and then not everybody is here understand it. But I heard the stories before, and I think it's like a genius that you guys did, and they put it all together. And I mean, writing all the songs and in each perspective of view of each one of the members that's in the story. I mean, it's absolutely something genius that like it is. So I mean, I want you guys to tell the story because it's pretty awesome.
Bands don't do that anymore. Like where you like listen to the album from start to finish and actually have a storyline. You know what I mean? If you're paying attention, and this band did that, and it's. I mean, many bands are doing that these days. I think it's very fun, and it makes it even more fun. Listening back to the album after you hear this story
Yeah, go for it.
about the making of Annihilator.
yeah, I'm sure there's.
Anyone?
I'm sure if you
Feel this one.
poor
I'll shut
James.
up. I'll shut up now.
Poor James is like 3 seconds behind, so he just feels like nobody's.
Am I? You guys are like.
So yeah, I mean, I'm certain there's loads of examples of this, but I can't personally think of a punk rock album that has like a continuing theme or April, what do you call that?
I call it a concept album. Man.
Concept album.
Concept
Thank you.
album, yes.
So I could probably go into a decent like amount of description about this, but I'll let April tell the story because I think her memory is probably a little more succinct when it comes to how all this all played out.
Well, you get to start with the books, and then I'll take over at some point.
So what it really came down to was, and this is something I think we kind of alluded to in the last time we like did the podcast thing. On the first album, there was a little thing on the shoulder of the Vulture that said Kaput Lapinum. Ended up kind of like being a little like a wink and a nod towards the name of the next album. And so we liked the idea that since we were naming the second album after something that existed on the first, we wanted to kind of come up with what we were going to do for the third album before we released the second, so we could do the same kind of like wink, wink, nudge, nudge thing. And so I had started kind of playing around with this song Annihilator, which was basically our guitarist's mom was reading a book about the servant girl Annihilator, who was one of the earliest recorded serial killers, even before Jack the Ripper, and it was a guy that was killing people here in Austin in like the
1884 and 85.
I fuck it up every time. And so we like the concept of it, right? Like Sniper 66 is a reference to Charles Whitman, who climbed up on the UT clock tower in 1966. And so we have these historical references, right? And they're never like glorifying or whatever, but it's always just something it's a reference. And so when we heard about the Annihilator, when we heard about the Servant Girl Annihilator, Jeremy's mom was reading a book about it, and we just kind of got going on it. And then April was kind of reading up on it and found some lyrics that was, it was from what were they called? The brigade?
The Vigilance Committees.
The Vigilance Committee. That's the name of the next album, The Vigilance Committee.
There you go. You heard it
It
first
sounds
over
like
here.
a witch.
I know. You heard it first on this podcast. There you go. I like that.
But the Vigilance Committee used to have this kind of sing-songy thing that they would do, and it was, "Get thee a gun, O servant girl, keep it by thy bed. Take aim upon the ruffian and fill him full of lead."
Of lead.
And so that's the chorus of Annihilator, and so we kind of got going on that. And like, so on the second album, like on the back of it, there's like the moon towers, and there's this like kind of imagery of like East Austin.
It's a sketch of old-timey Austin.
Yeah. And then on like the insert, like where the lyrics are, the background is actually, I think it's even pulled directly from the Austin Chronicle in like the 18.
Yeah, it's an illustrated map of Austin, Texas from that era.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's so funny, we were talking about this too, like about it being like the east side. You did say that the other day, saying that it was like downtown, but like the guy that they think might have actually been the Servant Girl Annihilator was killed outside of what is now the Scoot Inn, which is on the east side.
Yeah.
It was
Oh shit! I knew that place.
It was
weird.
only he said.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's such a good story, and like the idea that you guys came up with of being able to tell it, because I mean, you guys have different songs on this album. That's
Right. So,
diverse perspective.
so we were already so engrossed with the story, just making that first song Annihilator, that like once we started writing more songs for that album, it just kind of, we already had all that stuff on the brain, so it kind of lent itself to being there. Well, I don't know what the second song was.
I think we released them in order. I think it was Annihilator, Servant Girl, Psycho, In His Grave. I think we wrote them in the order that we put them on the album.
Psycho might have been before Servant Girl, because I know we were like, well, we had the music for that, and then we decided to make that one about the Servant Girl, because I remember I had homework. Because we already had the song laid out. We were like, okay, make this about that.
Yeah. Exactly.
What's so funny is like I remember like being so hard on you about like, okay, let's get together, let's like hash out the vocal parts, let's make sure everything sounds good, because like being a lead singer isn't your first move.
I mean,
and then
I don't usually have to do that.
And then you came over, and I could finally listen to you because we were doing it acoustic, and I finally got to stop and kind of listen to you, and I was like, yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah. I think you tried to change like one note, and it was like, yeah, okay.
Can I do the chorus part? Like,
Hey, you guys, has Mike fallen asleep?
No, I want to though.
Chill.
no,
Hello.
That cat is
Mike,
fully.
where is he? Did he punch out? Did he pull a James? What's up?
No.
He's done.
Poor
He's
Mike,
done.
like,
I know.
poor Mike's being part of this, but he's just like, he's only been in the band for 6 months, and so he's only got so much history to tell. But
Yeah.
No, but for real,
Mike
that's
some
so
questions.
cool. He's so stoked.
We'll
He's so
we'll
stoked.
get to him. We'll get to him in a minute, because I mean, I really want to continue this Annihilator like songs. I mean, like whoever hasn't listened to this album, I really encourage you to listen in from like you say, in order, from like first track, second track, third, and the fourth, because it really tells a story of like everybody, at least in your perspective, like everybody is who says the story, and it's like
So we ended up bookending the different sides of the record with these so-called concept album songs. So each one of them kind of tells a story from a different perspective. So Annihilator tells it from basically like the news and these vigilance committees. Then Servant Girl tells it from the viewpoint of the servant girls who are getting brutally murdered in the middle of the night. And I tried to tell like pretty much
and their son.
Yeah, and then like Dylan's my little baby boy who has to go on without me because I got fucking brutally murdered. But the verses of that song, pretty adequate.
Sorry, that's not funny. I don't know.
Crazy story about what
That's the
happened.
way you said it.
But then Psycho is from the perspective of the killer himself. It's like, I am a psycho. And then In His Grave was another one of those almost afterthought songs. Like that was one of the last ones we wrote before we ended up in the studio with it.
It was, that song is funny too because it was something I was playing around with. That was like, we'll call it a thought exercise where I was like trying to write something that was similar to a buddy's band. Legion 76 are like good friends of ours from Philadelphia. And so I really like the way I love their music. And so I wanted to kind of write something to emulate. And then I almost oversimplifying it, ended up falling in love with it. That might be my favorite song on the album, if I'm honest. And so, but it came together so quick. And to Jeremy's credit, I liked that song to start, but whenever he came in with that fucking lead riff, it just like,
oof.
Yeah, it made my nipples hard. Like I had to squeeze them a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and the whole thing is like the whole album itself. I mean, not just the concept behind it, but the whole album itself. It's a really, really, really good album that you guys did. And like you were telling us before, I mean, you guys actually flew out to Colorado. Oh, actually, you did a tour and ended up in Colorado. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, turns out like recording really good quality music in Austin can be kind of expensive, and so we've got a guy like, and again, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about him. Like Chris Vogel at Black and Bloom deserves all the credit in the world. He's the most brilliant. The best experience I've ever had recording. It was comfortable. There was no judgment. Like sound engineers can be dickheads sometimes. You know what I mean? Like they can be very snotty. Yeah. And he's got this. I even got a little afraid at once because while we were setting up the drum set, he was like setting the mics up and he went into the mixing room. And I said to April, and I didn't realize how good those microphones were until later, but I said to April, I was like, this place is perfect for us. It's super professional, but it's just shitty enough I'm not nervous. And like,
that's awesome.
I got a little
for the Neumann or whatever.
And that's the studio where like Pears records. It's the studio where Potato Pirates record. Like a lot of stuff, a lot of really good fat record shit goes through there.
Yeah.
Too.
It's the perfect kind of grind. You know what I mean? It's like going to find an old car that's been in a barn forever, where like all the paint has like rusted off, but it's only surface rust. You know what I mean? Like the bones are good. You can just sand that off. It'll buff.
I believe they called out patina.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And like actually on like you were telling us, April, like on that album, like you found your voice on telling the engineers, like, and your people that was helping you, producing all that. So like helping you like bring your voice down.
Very easy to communicate with, and especially because after the experiences that I had had since like even recording Kaput Lapinum, that second album, where I didn't quite get exactly what I wanted. I figured out, over the years how to communicate with an engineer what you really want,
April was still so fresh in the band on that too. I think she was just kind of scared to stand on her own 2 feet.
Yeah, this wasn't my shit yet. And so like this is now, especially with like the Annihilator record, this is my shit. We're going to do this and do it right.
We had the sixes by that point.
The sixes.
No, you got a 66. Mike, you're next. Mike, you're next.
Is my
There you
Where's Mike? Is he back?
No, that's awesome. And you can definitely tell that you guys put a lot of like, I'm not gonna say like and like money into it. I'm saying like a lot of effort and love into it, because like we talked before, like the snare sound is like, it's not, I'm not gonna say super different, but you can definitely tell that you like tweaked it to a point that it sounds perfect for you. And you guys did like a lot of the stuff that that it made the album sound like as like you said, the best albums that you guys have right now. So I really give you like awesome for that. It's really clear.
Sounds great. It sounds really good.
Cool.
Sounds
So
really good.
So 2020, Mike is here. So Mike, it's your turn now. So like Mike's here, he joins the band. It's a 3-piece now. Like how did this all came about? Like, like, hey, we're no longer a 4-piece. We need somebody else. Like, there's this guy's Mike, they play bass. Like he can definitely complement us. Like how did that go, Mike?
So
I think April's like, she posted on Facebook, like, where's my bass players at? And I'm just like, and she's like, you want to play in Sniper? And I'm just like, oh, what?
That's awesome. That's pretty.
Look at him. He's chilling with the cat. He's a good. He's a good dude.
So
he's been all quiet this whole time.
Yeah. So what made you guys like say, hey, Mike, you're in? Like, because I mean, like I've seen him before in like in other bands, and like I know like he plays in a lot of bands here in Austin. But like, what made you say, hey, Mike's the guy?
Mike shows up. Mike shows up and plays bass like he plays bass, and you go, yeah, duh, of course you're in the band. Mike's an incredible bassist, and so from my perspective, the backstory is like Mike used to play in Riverside Riot, which was a band we've played with a million times, and we loved them. And I always thought they were going to blow up bigger than us, but just things happen. They never really quite got to that point. But I always remembered thinking like, God, I'd love to fucking like have him play bass in a band at some point. Like that'd be fun to start something with him. And so when it just kind of happened that, we were in the position to need a new bass guitarist. And at that point we even still had like some guys trying out on guitar. God, it worked out so well. We needed a bass guitarist. And so he kind of like raised his hand, and we're like, yeah, fuck yeah. So he came to jam with us, and we had a great band practice. And then Mike, was it the second band practice is whenever we ended up being a 3-piece?
Oh, yeah.
I know it was quick.
What?
How many practices did you get?
We're talking about you.
Oh, I don't know. That time that we went over to my place and I played through my amp, and you're just like, yeah.
Well, so that was because
we had one with the other guy that was almost the guitarist with Mike, and it was like, hey, this could be a force. Oh, was it 2?
Yeah.
Like, this could be a force. And then it was like, nope.
So we were supposed to have band practice with our what was supposed to be our new lead guitarist. And then he decided it wasn't a good fit. And honestly, we were kind of in the same boat. So it made sense that and by the way, he's still a good buddy, but he was just like, I don't think this is what I was looking for. And I don't think I'm what you were looking for. But we had band practice set up. And so we're like, well, fuck it. Let's still have practice. We've got Mike needs to practice. So let's do it. And so we practiced. And then like, Mike's a pedal guy. Mike's a sound guy. Mike is interested in audio dynamics, right? Like, so he even like, not only does he add that, but like our last band practice, he brought a Bassman head because I have a 112 combo amp, but I also have a 112 just cabinet, so that I can, whenever we play, I have speakers on both sides of the stage. But I had mentioned about how I wouldn't mind having a second like amp, and I was thinking about just getting a little shitty head just so I have a secondary sound to get mic'd up so it fills in the sound. And he was like, well, I got this Bassman and you can just run it like as this wave amp, and it's like a clean amp, but it runs the preamp. Yeah, no, it's the best. It sounded so goddamn good, and I'm really looking forward to playing with it live. So Mike brings that to the table. Yeah.
That's yeah. I mean, and that's awesome that you guys were able to like find like like the combination between mic and the bass and being able to feel like you say because going from 2 guitars to 1 guitar to being able to feel up the sound is not an easy task. And I mean, for what I
Mike's
heard
responsible for all of it, getting us there to get
Let's
full enough. He puts the
let's
balls
continue
on.
digging in his closet.
No.
He's got a JCM 800 hidden in there or some shit.
Oh shit!
No,
Oh, no.
that's That's
Like,
awesome.
ask Mike to
Whoa,
run
look
through
at that.
his gear. He's got some shit.
Cool. So the band is a 3-piece. You guys are starting to, play and practice and all this and writing new songs. So what's in the future? I mean, I know 2020 is, wash. So 2021, like, what do we got going on?
It's pretty much a reset.
A reset. That's a good way to put
We're
it.
gonna try to do what we did in what we were going to do in 2020 and 2021.
So all the tours get move or
Pretty much,
hopefully?
like all the
Answer.
stuff we were supposed to do, all the big landmark stuff that we were supposed to do, is still going to happen. So we just need to like build the rest of the tour around those big landmark events, which are just we are still being invited back to the things that are
That's awesome.
happening next year. So
That is very awesome.
That's awesome. And
So you play punk rock bowling, correct?
oh yeah.
Am I in a hella delay still? So I just won't even. I'm not gonna ask questions anymore.
No, I think that's actually the best you've done so far.
It's gonna look out of context. Is it?
Yeah, I think you caught up finally.
There you go. No, so yeah, that's not something that like James says. I mean, you guys are being called for you'll play punk rock bowling before, and hopefully you get to do it in 2021. And you guys are being like called to all this down. So hopefully you guys get to do all this again because you guys deserve it. You guys are really good. And like I said, the Annual Letter album is just being like, hopefully it's not the peak. Hopefully it's just you're still going.
We're not done.
And I know you're not. And
It's never.
I can't wait for whatever you guys right now with your new, with your new concept of like a 3-piece. I can't wait to hear what you guys come up with now because it's great. What you guys are doing is great. So I definitely say keep it up because you guys are doing an amazing work. Especially keep up the background vocals and the game vocals.
Yeah, I got you on that, man.
Awesome. I'm telling you, I'm a sucker for those. Like every time we have practice, like I try to do it. I'm out of tune backup vocals, but yeah, that's it.
He
yeah,
can't
so,
sing.
any band that I've ever
He can't sing, but it's good that he does.
I try.
any band that I've ever been in, I've always been like, I put the greatest importance on backup vocals. So it's one of my favorite things.
I love it.
My previous band used to we were called the Wayward Boys. We used to go called the Woeward Boys because we
The Whoa Whoa Boys.
Whoa.
Awesome, guys. Well, hey, we've been
There's nothing
now for about an hour or
right.
so. So I don't want to keep you guys any longer because you guys have been super awesome to coming back for our second date. Or
Check the tape.
I know, and like I'm gonna put this on the record for the next time we see each other. The first beers are on me because you guys were super awesome. So thank you guys.
Hey, let us
And
know. Look, if this doesn't end up saving, let us know. We'll come back for a third visit. We'll make Mike talk.
Right?
I
By then, oh my God.
really had more intentions on trying to get Mike involved more. I feel bad.
We'll just
Can't wait
make
to-
Mike tell these stories
There you
instead
go.
of us again.
We've done it.
We'll
We've
just
done it
tell-
twice
how about-
now. It'll just like
tell the
you and
stories
I won't even
for
show up.
you.
It'll just be Mike.
And
Well, April will print out a book for me, and then I can.
Okay, so before we go, I got to talk about Mike hasn't had a lot of opportunities to talk because we've been talking a lot about the past, and he hasn't been in long enough to really even have much of a present with the band. We've played 3 gigs together, but he's been an absolute joy to be in a band.
We were supposed to have stories at this point.
Yeah, but at this point we should have had at least a tour or two. So no, we would have been coming home from our second tour with this guy.
Yeah,
by now.
we would have had all kinds of weird stories.
But
Guys before.
like the guy's I'll tell you what makes him such a good fit for Sniper 66 is he's a fucking dork. Like Sniper, we try to portray ourselves as being cool, but like Mike's over here just going, cool.
Dude,
He
I
hasn't said,
trip, dude.
he hasn't said 4 words, but they're all intelligent. Yeah, the whole time. He's it. Now that
I mean, look
a
at
good
the
bass player.
inside of the Annihilator album and tell me I'm not a nerd.
Wait, did he back out? We started like talking nice about him, and then he like
I
went
know.
away.
The video
No, he's
went up.
done. Okay.
now he'll just hide behind his cat.
Nah, that's awesome, guys.
Hide
And,
behind the cat. That's always good. That's my technique.
but I can't wait to
Sorry,
see you
you-
guys again. I can't wait to buy
That
you
out
guys
later.
that beer and Mike I don't know, cranberry juice. I don't know what Mike drinks.
It's a new era. It's a new era for Sniper 66. That's for sure.
There you go. 1877 is for Mike, and that's the way to put it, bros. I mean, it's a good era, and I think it's gonna be a great era because you guys sound really good, and I can't wait to hear you guys again. So, thank you all for being here. And like I
Hey,
said,
did we ask them about any of the streaming stuff that they might be thinking about doing, or even like doing like a kick butt stream or that other place that's doing stream
I know
stuff?
they-
Have you guys thought about doing that?
yeah, I know you guys just did one. Do you guys planning on doing any?
Did they just do one?
Yes.
We
Yes.
did just do one. We streams on. You can go to Kickbutt Coffee's YouTube channel, or you can go to
Okay,
the
cool.
Sniper 66 Facebook and find it there. It's on either of our. April, did we post
Good.
that to the Sniper thing?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Keep
so
doing them, man. Keep doing them. See if we
Yeah,
can keep
look-
Kick Butt around. All the proceeds go to Kick Butt. You know what I'm
we're
saying?
definitely wanting to do some more stuff.
Maybe we can do
Anything that we can
stuff.
stand up and play with lights and shit, I'm with it. It'd be great to have people there, but if it's just a camera, then fuck it. Like it's a good way to practice. So we're just happy to get up and stand up. So
That's awesome, guys. So, sniper66.com,
It's basically just some nice about all you
sniper66band@gmail.com.
can do to like stay
Um,
chops.
Yes. So
Hey, we should book a show with you guys, but we sound like classical music, or we sound like elevator music compared to y'all.
so
We'd be glad to open. We'd be glad to
Yeah.
open.
one of these
Look,
days.
we'll play we'll have you guys. We'll have Mike's other band Cortege, which is like cowboy space rock, and then we'll have Sniper 66. It'll be fun. We'll make Mike play 2 shows in a row next time.
It will be our third date after that. There you go. Awesome,
Maybe
Third
guys.
day we definitely
There'll
spread out.
actually be people out there when we play. There'll be
Awesome.
people there.
Hopefully. Awesome. Well, guys, thank
We'll
you so
ride-
much. I
we'll
really
ride your-
appreciate
we'll
it.
ride your coattails. We have no say.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
You can
Thank you
edit
for hanging
that out,
out.
Eddie.
Thank you so much. And everybody go check it out, sniper66.com, or go to all their websites. I'm sure you guys, I know you guys are pretty much everywhere, and Spotify, Facebook, and all this stuff like that. And
Just Google that shit.
exactly.
right up.
So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Go hang out. Thank you
Hey,
so much.
we'll see
Appreciate
you
it.
guys next week. Check back in
Hopefully.
with you next week.
I
Yeah, everybody say
Well,
goodbye to James. That's when he'll get this message anyways. It's
know.
next
I
week.
know. Take care, guys. Have a great night.
All right.
Thank you all.